Last time, on Asmiliath adventures. As Valoran rides to make amends with his sister, Thor is sent back to halt the exodus of Blackeye and his band of freed slaves. With the group held in stasis for the moment, Valoran finally hears out his sister's plan to sneak the half-orcs back to their home in the Surbat Mountains. Not able to poke any reasonable holes in her preparation, the party ultimately agree to follow her lead, planning on disguising themselves as Vilstein guards and escorting the prisoners further east. Thor assumes that his father, Joseph O'Drill, would be willing to help in their endeavor, steering the Golden Hearts towards the lands surrounding Tamantop Castle, where he seeks his father's approval. Quietly allowing the band of freed men to disperse across his land and ultimately make their way up to the mountains, Count O'Drill welcomes his Goliath's son home with open arms. Eventually, as the party makes their way to the modest castle, the ancient and tactful owner eagerly challenges the group to a game of war and wages. As various shenanigans and tactical blunders are made, Clay, Decker, and Valoran find themselves on the winning side of the mock battle. Feeling the late evening setting in, the party agree to head out soon, but pause to seek important counsel from the aged warrior that was their host. While some advice was more personal than others, the party do hear of his suspicions regarding the folk in Liamis alliance, theorizing that Queen Rosalind was put in a position of either subjugating to the Empire, or facing that same Empire's wrath by siding with Liamis. It is late in the evening of March 7th, as the towering peaks of the Surbat Mountains jut into the sky to the east. Having partaken in good company and decent food, our heroes find themselves in the courtyard of Tamantop Castle, saying goodbye to Count O'Drill and his wisdom. So, whether Thor, you kind of want to have a moment with your father, or the party as a whole want to give out their farewells, you would all just be standing, again, late evening, in the very modest, kind of small courtyard just outside the keep of the castle.
I imagine it, we would all be together. There's no reason to have, like, an aside.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just kind of, after our conversations, just be like, well, I guess this is goodbye for now.
He kind of give you a nod, kind of look at the rest of the group again, kind of clutching that scepter that he carries with both of his hands, holding it near his chest. Well, son, you are always welcome here, but I know that you are rather busy with your various tasks.
Yeah, I think we're actually going to head up to that cave again. Check it out, because there's some weird stuff going on with Buffy. And somebody told me that when the moon is high, I need to kill him. Not really sure what that's up with, but...
That does remind me, would it be disturbing to you to see Buffy's previous form?
What do you mean?
I may have taken a small memento from that event.
Yeah, I mean, sure.
Not going to insult Buffy?
I don't know. Will it? Is Buffy here?
Buffy would be waiting outside of the castle at this point.
Okay. Well, I don't think so.
I'll be right back. And then he kind of scurries off towards the keep for a moment, leaving you all alone for the time being. But there's nothing to comment on. Eventually, maybe after about 3 or 4 minutes, he would return, and instead of the scepter, which he does usually use to kind of walk with, supporting a lot of his weight, in his grasp, kind of leaned back against his chest, is a large, open, bare head. The top half of this giant, ragged warrior, this primal beast, where the interior has been replaced with a helmet, and the mouth itself kind of functions as the face port for the wearer. And he kind of trembles up to you and gestures down at it. It might be a little awkward for you to wear, but I don't have any use for it anymore, and if you want it.
Yeah. I mean, wait, is that Buffy? Is that supposed to be Buffy?
Yes. It's a little musty. It's been sitting, and it kind of brushes off a little bit of like stray cobwebs and dust kind of clinging to one of the ears.
So then, that's not buff.
Not my expertise.
Mine either. Alright, well, I just realized that I should have probably known that by now. Also, what's your scepter made out of?
Kind of glances down, realizes it's not his hand, and then kind of like looks back to where he left it inside. Oh, that it was an ogre's tooth.
I was hoping it'd be a dragon.
Oh no, it's still quite the story. How we took down the ogre. I was very very young when we managed that one.
Well, we also killed an ogre, but it wasn't the best time for any parties involved.
Well, like father, like son.
Yeah, well, you remember, I told you the story already.
Oh, with the elf.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who is still alive.
Not to be frank, but this is very heavy. Do you want this?
Okay, yeah, I got it. I'll take it.
Okay. So you would have this. It's a very simple helmet on the inside. There's kind of a padded interior to help it like rest on your head. The top half of the snout that kind of juts out almost as like a visor still has like the long teeth of the bear that kind of like point down towards your eyes as you wear it, and the actual back half of the fur that kind of drapes off the helmet probably ends about 6 or so inches like down the back of your neck, just kind of touching like the blades of your shoulder. But that would be the item that you are given.
Okay. And this doesn't count as like armor, right?
We can go over that if you want to wear it, so.
Well, for now, I'll just hold on.
Okay.
Is there anything else you guys need to talk to my dad about before we leave?
I don't want to overstep my bounds here, but my lord, if we need your men, and if we need them, can we count on you to answer the call? It may not be for Queen and Country, but it is for this world.
Well, Master Diplom, I hate to disappoint, but the amount of swords that I can bring to my cause is not anything noteworthy. What really is an asset is my mind. So if you ever find yourself in need of advisement, you can certainly call upon me, but besides that, I would seek soldiers and men elsewhere.
I understand. Thank you.
All right. Well, so we're headed out.
Do keep yourself safe, son. As much as I know that the mountains are your home, they are treacherous.
You do the same. Although I hear the Goliaths are no longer up there, so might be a little easier living for now.
Yes, but I did hear rather recently that a band of orcs found their way up there, so.
Yes. Well, if you need help taking them out, you know who to call.
Thor.
What?
But we literally just...
We're not supposed to act like we helped them.
That's my boy.
I think we've imposed on you enough. I thank you for everything that you've done today.
Yes, I hope that the cape finds more use than it did here, and I thoroughly enjoyed your company. Perhaps there will be more to our story.
I believe there will be.
And we thank you for all of your fatherly advice.
If it turns out not to be good, just don't mention where it came from.
I won't tell Mother. Don't worry.
And Mr. Decker, if you find your way back to Liamis, try to fix stuff down there. They seem rather disorganized.
I'll do what's in my power.
Well, sons and friends, enjoy your evening and good luck on the roads ahead.
See you later, Dad.
Goodbye for now.
So, stepping out of the, again, modest courtyard and into the kind of open evening sky or air, you would be basically set right on the edge, like the tapering edge of the Serbat Mountains. There's like kind of rippling spines of the ridges that make their way down the quickly descending slopes that Thor, you'd be vastly familiar with this terrain. You would almost feel at home kind of glancing up at this vast expanse that you have kind of traveled and lived in for the majority of your younger life, despite the fact that I guess your real home is now behind you. It's a little bit odd, but that would be the scene that you are met with when leaving Tamantop Castle. And Thor, because I'm sure you might ask, the cave that you all are heading towards is about a half day's journey, which more or less kind of translates into about 2-3 hour trip up the mountainside. So that's what you're looking forward to if that's the route you're taking.
And what time is it currently, or like?
Best guess, it's probably about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock.
PM or
Yeah,
AM?
it's late in the evening.
All right. Well, do we want to hit the cave?
Yes, let's. If we leave now, then we may get there at just the right time.
All right. Well, it's that way. Follow me.
Lead on.
For point of order, I think everyone had mounts. Valorn, you do not have Belgrees at this point, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so is everyone taking horses or traveling on foot? What is the plan there?
What is the terrain like to the mountain?
It's pretty rough. It's either somewhat dense forest or kind of crackly, rocky terrain. Don't laugh at me. So yeah, it would be somewhat treacherous, especially at night, going up there on horseback. So going up on foot's probably the better of the two options.
Okay. Then I would recommend that we travel foot. And do we have light sources, or do I need to provide one? I imagine we have.
I can make a small one.
Same.
Not Liamus, right? Would have been familiar with traveling in mountain. I would assume, right?
Yeah, the Ukin is just kind of south of the southernmost mountains of the Serbat Range, so you'd be somewhat familiar with this terrain. Though this is a fair bit farther north, so it's a bit more wintry, so...
Well, fearing nothing in my own home, I will light my ring and start walking forward.
Okay.
I guess I'll keep a lookout for anyone.
I'm gonna go ahead and roll me a perception check. I'm assuming also Buffy is traveling with you guys at this point.
Yeah.
And he, again, as always, Aurora's circling.
Yep. You want to go ahead and throw me a perception check from Aurora?
Sure.
Would there be... yep.
Point of order, if we're not going to take the horses with us, what are we going to do with them?
Probably leave them at
Okay.
Tamantop and then just come back and get them on our way back.
Okay.
Okay. There gonna be any sort of conversations or idle chatter or questions while traveling?
Yeah, I would go up next to Thor. Thor, how did it feel seeing your father after so long?
Oh, I mean, it was cool, you know. I don't know. It's just like seeing a friend. You know, he's not like my dad because I didn't know him when I was like a baby. So it's not like papa. You know, it's just like you know, hi friend. But it's cool that you guys get to meet him, and I guess it's cool that you won a game against him. Although I still don't know how that happened.
I have my suspicions that he let us win.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense.
Well, don't ever give up on trying to have that relationship with him. He's... Just because you got started later doesn't mean that you can't still be his little boy. I still don't know the logistics of him and your mother.
Yeah. I don't know either. I don't like thinking about it. Even going to this cave, I just have to relive the story that I've been told once, over and over and over again.
You should bring him back a gift or something.
Well, depending on what happens, we'll see. We'll see what gift I can bring him.
Sure, he would appreciate it. I know when I travel, I bring my parents back little mementos of where I've been.
I'll keep that in mind.
How's Buffy's reaction to Thor's helmet?
So I wasn't gonna push it. I imagine that Thor is not like waving it in Buffy's face, but if it is out in the open, we could go over that.
I mean, yeah, I would be like carrying it. I guess I would carry it. I guess this would be initially when we were walking. I would carry it like over to my horse. So I would also look at Buffy's reaction to see like what, because like, yeah, that was a good reminder.
So if Buffy is made aware, which I imagine you're kind of carrying it back to the horse and might catch an eye and then come up and approach, he would kind of almost like sneakily make his way over, like a dog that's kind of spotted something that's odd in the distance and begins like kind of crawling across the grass. There's a bit of like concern and curiosity in the bear's eyes as it like brings its nose up and touches like the dried rubbery like black bit that kind of protrudes off of the helmet. When he like actually like gets to touch it and sniff it, there's like a small kind of quick reflex, like a flinch away, and then kind of like looks over at Thor and looks at the helmet and then like tilts its head. There isn't any kind of like aggressive reaction or terror. It's more of just like, so most just kind of like idle curiosity.
Very cool. Very cool. All right.
You would be able to, in that moment, more accurately identify that this is indeed basically a mirror copy on both sides. You would be able to notice that, you know, Buffy, the alive one, has a bit more like cuts and scrapes and like nicks in the ear from being presumably older than this helmet version, but that would be all that you would notice.
I got nothing, Buffy. I got nothing.
We have to put that quote on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
Any other questions, topics, discussions while traveling up the mountain? So, Decker, as you are making your way with the group, again, it's kind of letting Aurora idly sway or kind of circle overhead. I think we've set up that until she like kind of pings you or alerts you, you're in your actual body, and then once there is some sort of message, you kind of cast up. So as you're traveling, you know, talking with Thor, kind of trying to gain some insight into his relationship with his father, you would get that kind of like nagging feeling in the back of your mind where you excuse yourself and then make your way into Aurora's eyes. as you are scanning over this kind of rolling evergreen forest that you were traveling through in the meantime, there is, again, one of those kind of like jagged, crackling, swirling ridges or spines of the mountain that you kind of focus in on. There's a faint, strange, somewhat dull shimmer or like a reflection coming off of a rather large rock about, I don't know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes away from you the location you all are currently. I could not say that correctly. But as like Aurora kind of drifts a little bit farther from the group and focuses her attention in on it, you would spot this somewhat tucked hole that is hidden by a much larger regular gray boulder. But atop the entrance to this hole, which you presume is the cave that you are all heading towards, there is this somewhat unnatural looking, wide, semi-transparent maroon rock. And it's pretty vast, potentially the size of like a cart or a wagon, and it seems to be almost like embedded in the earth, like a giant child or a giant had hurled this thing down into like a mud pile, a little bit of the terrain kind of like reaching up to grab around the outside of it, holding it in place. And, you know, kind of describing this to the group or relaying this to Thor, he would accurately identify that as the cave that you're all heading towards.
Yeah, so pass that on and
Means we're close.
But before we just walk into a mountain cave, Thor, last time I believe you've mentioned you were up there before. Was anything living in it? I mean, I can't think of many beasts who would pass up a cave that isn't occupied.
There was not, right?
No, you want a kind of rough catch up on what was there last time?
Yes, because it was very brief. I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah. So the cave itself isn't all that large. It's maybe only about 60 feet deep from the surface to like its deepest point. There is a small offshoot that almost kind of like curls back towards the entrance a little bit. It's a little cove, and that's where you expect that your mother kind of hidden your father all those years ago. There is this kind of strange sunken area at the base of the cave and like a ledge kind of overlooking it. There's a small amount of bone-picked carcasses or skeletons kind of scattered around the space. Ancient evidence of like a cow being dragged up here or some other small animal being picked apart. Nothing that is recent or any sort of like alarming. It does appear that more or less this cave might see some activity of a various like stray wild animal coming in, some like nicks and claw marks and scrapes from something like a raccoon or similar, but there wouldn't be any evidence of like a great green dragon living in it or something of that sort.
Well, you know, the last time I was here, I saw like dragon egg in there that was too big for me to carry, so I left it there, knowing that we would come back, and I'm hoping that this time, dragon is actually.
Thor. No.
As he's talking about that, I'll have Aurora drop down into the cave just to see if there's anything.
Okay.
While they're talking.
Let me go ahead and. I don't think I put. Okay, I'll just describe it for the moment. So, Decker, as you let Aurora kind of slowly glide lower and lower, eventually getting closer and closer to the entrance of this cave, she would land potentially on like a small branch or a tiny tree just outside, peering into the darkness using the owl vision that she has to identify a bit in the dim light. Just staring into the entrance itself, you would see that it's maybe about 10, 15 feet tall, about 4 or 5 feet wide, and it just seems to kind of be this naturally formed, somewhat slowly descending pathway into the mountainside. You would pick up, as Aurora lands, there's this like strange waft of heat, this like rush of almost extremely uncomfortable air that kind of rustles her feathers a little bit, makes her like shiver in place ever so slightly compared to the rather cold environment that you all are functioning in. It's enough of a, I guess, like a high pressure, low pressure system that if she were to like jump off of her branch and try and kind of glide in there, it would give her some resistance, some pushback in actually flying into the cave, making it somewhat difficult. But is there anything else before the party finish their trek to the cave? All right. So, Thor, give me a general wisdom check. All right. All right. As you are getting to the last leg of the trip, where you can actually physically see that kind of shimmering red boulder that marks the entrance to the cave, you begin to feel that strange force of wind, that odd heat earlier than the rest of the party. Your skin, which is so much more resistant to the harsh cold and the intense environment of the Surbat Mountains, begins to kind of form goosebumps and tingle slightly as this warmth kind of washes over you, causing a strange sensation of like your muscles relaxing and loosening, but also making the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, as this is a strange and somewhat off-putting sensation. Finally, as you get to the point where you're only 20, 30 feet away from the actual entrance, Aurora is still kind of perched up above. As you peer into the darkness, the ring that you have, what's the distance of light on that?
It's light. Oh, hold on. Is 20 dim, 20 bright. 20 bright, 20 dim.
Okay. As you stand there, using like the fringe edge of your light to glance down into the cave, again having that familiarity of having been here not so long ago, there is this silent moment where everyone kind of stops moving, everyone's just waiting for some sort of decision to be made, where you feel that heat that had kind of almost touched the entirety of your body the first time become a bit more centralized. This strange pressure touching your collarbone, kind of dragging up and around to the back of your neck. And as you almost like reach a hand up to kind of like brush it off or shiver or twitch your muscle to kind of remove the sensation, you would hear, first starting in your left ear and then quickly transferring to your right ear, you would just hear, kill him. The voice progressively getting louder and more frequent before Buffy kind of steps up to your side, nudges your leg, and the voice immediately disappears.
Okay. And can I tell, like, I know I'm not gonna be able to roll this high. Can I tell, like, if there's general, like, malice behind this voice?
Ooh, give me an insight check.
Yeah.
Malice would not be the correct word. I would attribute it more to like one of those gremlin children who are like 5 years old and don't understand how ugly they are when they get excited, who wakes up on Christmas morning and is just like clinging onto their present like an animal. That level of like excitement and kind of like visceral glee.
Okay.
There's an image for you folks.
Thanks. Can I like press forward?
Yeah.
Guess I would like. Oh, what?
I was going to ask if you were entering the cave at this point or not.
Well,
I was
real quick, you said there was like a tree or some kind of plant life around that cave.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, before anyone goes in, Clay would kind of hold out the hand. Thor, you said there was a dragon nest here.
yeah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm not really prepared with everything I would need to kill one of those if we're gonna have to do that. Um, let me find something out real quick. And he'll scurry on over to a living tree. Hopefully, there's a living tree there,
Okay.
and
I
cast
would
speak with plants. Oh,
I would wait for him to get out of earshot and then ask Valorant, should I tell him there's not the dragon, or should I just see where this goes?
Why did you say there was a dragon?
I don't know, I thought it'd be funny. Lighten the mood.
Lighten the mood. Thor, I am not the most mirthful man, but I don't think that's funny.
What?
Thor, you keep trying, big boy. Any attempt is better than none. Valerie,
I mean,
you should.
I would dispute that.
do you really think that if there was a dragon in this cave, I would tell you 30 minutes before we get here?
Thor, I think it's hilarious now that I know there's no dragon. I was a little scared before. Because
Also,
I'm not prepared to fight one either.
So
any
is
of you hear that voice?
Which one?
No. Is this what it was like the last time?
Kind of, right?
Yes, the image that you can kind of draw back from memory the last time that you were here, as you were kind of walking around the cave, exploring it with Buffy, you were first very focused on the cave itself, kind of like trying to, get a good feel for the environment. But once you actually turned around to your companion, you saw this, more or less from the torso up, or I guess from like the waist up, this, again, mostly transparent female figure kind of floating above Buffy. There is this long, almost like unnatural, untamed sprout of red hair kind of trailing behind her, almost like a cape. Her entire skin was bare, but there was thousands upon thousands of what you would guess or imagine would be scars and scrapes and healed claw marks that have been, again, healed over time and become kind of one with her skin, leaving this like rough, bumpy texture over her entire figure, except for her face, which remains perfectly pristine. And this figure was following or hovering around Buffy before she made eye contact with you and then said, "Kill him," and disappeared.
Yep. Roughly the same thing that happened last time. A little creepier, because I feel like she just put her hands all over me. But she just told me to kill him. And then she was like, it was like a weird echo. It was like, "Yeah." And then Buffy touched me and it was like, boom, gone.
I will sense divinely.
Okay. So that's Celestials, Demons, and what else?
Celestials, Fiends, and Undead, as well as things affected by the Hallow spell.
Gotcha. You would, and it's a 60-foot range?
Yeah.
You would not pick up on anything.
I would like to cast message at Buffy. Yeah, and I'll whisper
How is this
to
the
him.
first time that anyone's tried this?
Yeah.
We don't have message.
Anyway.
But we didn't.
And I'll just say, something is telling Thor, kill you. Should he?
So, message does not allow you to cross language barriers.
All it says, you point your finger towards a creature within range, a creature, whisper a message. The target and only the target hears the message and can reply in a whisper that only I can. So.
Yeah, I think the key term there is that they're responding in their own whisper, so it would be their words back to you. So it would be in whatever language they use. But after sending out the message, and Buffy kind of like looks around, almost in a little bit of a panic, eventually you would hear... Let
me try this again, Buffy. I don't speak bear. 1 stomp for yes, 2 stomps for no.
And the initial question was, Thor is being told to kill you. Should he? Again, as Buffy is like still looking around, kind of like
if I saw that he was wondering who was talking.
He would lift a paw, kind of look at Thor, and then very slowly, it was 1 for yes, 2 for no?
1 for yes, 2 for no.
Yeah, would just put his paw back down once.
Thor.
Yeah?
You know how I can message and talk to people without talking, right?
Sure. Yeah. Uh-huh.
I just did that with Buffy.
And did he talk to you?
Believe so. I asked him if you should kill him, and he said yes.
Buffy!
I can't understand his language, but I can communicate with him in simple yes or no. You know, as long as he can signal it with a foot or, you know, something. I think you might be able to have some sort of dialogue with him through me.
Oh. Man, I could never message Buffy. She kept giving me radio silence or...
You can speak with beasts.
Yeah, I can. But not with Buffy.
Really?
Yep. Every time, okay. So there was this whole event of where I would try, and I'd just get like a bee going bzzz. And then at one point there was like a song. There was like a song that my mom sang me when I was super young and falling asleep. And I never I think I only once got Buffy to talk to me. And I don't even know if he actually talked to me or if he just randomly said what I thought he was going to say. But he said no once. And that's the only thing he's ever said to me his entire life.
Well, we're totally out of my element here, Thor. I will
Me
follow
too.
your lead.
All right. What are the plants telling you, Clay?
Well, if y'all would take the time to shut the hell up, I could try and do this with y'all yelling in the middle of this. And yeah, Clay will cast Speak with Plants. Just ancient flora, born from the bones of this earth. Grant me your wisdom.
So as you feel the effects, this tree that you've picked out?
Yeah, technically it affects all plants within 30 feet of me at the time. So if there's any grass or weeds or whatever.
Mm-hmm. But yes, as you feel the effects of your ritual kind of transferring into the living, breathing world around you, you can basically feel it starting at the roots of this tree and slowly working its way up through the various, what's the word that's actually used in trees, not vascular, but I think you know what I'm saying. Words are difficult. Yes. As it reaches up to the branches, kind of shooting out to the various tapering fingers of this tree. I'm really not describing this well. What do you say, sir?
Tell me, Ancient One, what manner of beasts have passed through here? What calls this cave home?
Oh, many things call this cave home. Long time I've grown. Small beasts, big beasts, come and go.
What of recently?
For bipedal creatures with bare
No, but besides us.
rodent longtail. 3 moons ago.
Thank you for your wisdom. If anything happens to follow us in while you still have my power, please shake your branches or something, make some noise. In return, I shall watch
shall react with the speed of the mountain wind.
Then I offer myself to you, and he'll water the tree.
All right.
How are you watering it? Looks like
Piss?
Come on, Rob.
I wanted to make sure.
Did he
Yeah, let me-
offend you, Clay?
No. But no dragons apparently. Good
Oh,
news.
well, that's good.
Possibly some, I don't know, mice or something.
Oh gosh.
Anyways, yeah, if anything follows us in there in the next, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, big boy over there is gonna make some noise for us.
How does he plan to do that?
I don't know, shake?
And we're supposed to see that, hear that?
You know, I'll take whatever I can get.
Alrighty then. Well, let's press onward. Valor, how long is your spell up for? Is it like just instantaneous, or is it like 10 minutes?
Divine sense?
Divine sense.
Yeah.
It only lasts for a turn, or a round, so 6 seconds.
Rough.
So, stepping into the cave.
Yup. With this 4-block wide bear.
I'm gonna go ahead and cast Produce Flame.
Okay.
I also have my
that
light.
in my hand.
So, Thor, I'm assuming that you are leading the expedition.
Yup. With my hand up, just kind of like holding it out. See what I can see.
So as you step into the, again, familiar cave, looking around, kind of just almost double checking that everything is more or less where you left it last time. Looking past the kind of ledge that eventually drops down into the sunken area of this cave, you see trailing from the ceiling above, maybe about 30 or 40 feet above the actual cave floor that is the lowest point, these lazy, kind of gently swirling shafts of red light. You could more or less perceive or just kind of assume that the large boulder that is at the entrance to this cave that you've kind of walked under and almost kind of double backed on is catching the light of the moon and dispensing it down into this small basin. It fills the majority of the cave with mostly discernible light, but it is mostly focused or majority focused on this small kind of circular area at the end.
All right, then keeping my eyes and ears up as I'm creeped out, I will press forward.
Okay.
Do you need to like tell me if I need to stop?
No, you can more or less kind of adventure and explore at your leisure.
All right. Is there anything?
Can I investigate for life signs?
Yeah, sure.
Recent meals or whatever else.
Kind of bringing up the tail end of the party as everybody moves in and giving, again, the scenery this quick pass over reasonable investigation to make sure that there isn't some sort of trap lying in wait or some animal slumbering within. There is an incredible amount of leftovers, markings, evidence of creatures using this cave for temporary homes. There's long gashes in the stone. There's thousands of little tiny scrapes across the floor. It is the best guess or the best summary that you can come up with is nothing uses this place permanently, but it is a revolving door, a shelter provided to the various beasts that find themselves in the area, using it temporarily, maybe eating their meal in here and then finding their way out.
Any part of that look like dragon
No.
markings?
There are some large claw marks, but nothing the size of a dragon.
Thor, good news. I don't see anything suggesting dragon's been in here.
Oh, must have left after I touched its egg because I hear they're very sensitive about eggs. You know.
Why would you touch the? Okay, all right.
So, what is there anything different about any of this cave that is discernible?
So the only standout difference between when you were here previously and now would be that light being prominent in the center of the cave. If you kind of step into its what's the word I'm looking for? Influence. And you kind of look up at the boulder as the light is kind of working its way through. It's a almost mesmerizing display, acting almost as like a glitter lava lamp. You would see the shafts of light kind of refracting off of the small cracks and faces on the interior of this boulder, bouncing around, kind of swirling and shifting, producing this somewhat glimmering, sparkling aesthetic before it eventually does find its variety of ways out into the cave itself and producing the light that you stand in. It casts your features in this pinkish maroon red tint, almost giving you this naturally intimidating or heavier presence than you're used to. All the party members, your Buffy up on the ledge looking down upon you, would see Thor just dripping in this like vibrant red hue.
Was this here all along?
No. No, this is different. At least than last time I was here. Wait, Buffy, come here. Stand here. Can I make Buffy stand in the thing?
Well, you can tell him, but he would begin kind of lumbering down the sloped floor to the basin, stepping into the red light. And as you look up, or as Buffy looks up, and you see his eyes meeting with the boulder, it's very difficult to perceive, but since you were so intently watching this transaction, you see that when Buffy breathes out and in, these little puffs of air moving through his large snout, he's actually sucking in and releasing this red light, somehow interacting with this light source as air rather than the light source that it actually is. And you watch this transaction, him taking in a deep breath and letting it out, for a few moments before he eventually kind of turns around and looks directly at you. And where his eyes used to be this kind of goldeny brown color, kind of flecked with a lot of colors that you would find in nature, they are now vibrantly red. And as they meet with your own, you would feel that wash of warm air that you had gotten just outside the entrance of the cave smother you like a blanket. You would feel your limbs, your body, almost your mind become sluggish, as if you were swimming through a vat of boiling oil, this all-encompassing weight. And as you continue to stare, and the party members are watching this transaction from the sidelines more or less, Buffy begins to begins to stand back on his hind legs, the large mass of this creature getting taller and higher as his front paws kind of dangle a bit to the side. But eventually, almost like a circus bear that you might have seen, he is fully upright, standing almost like a human, as his eyes are still locked with your own. And as the moment continues to pass, you see a singular kind of slender, pale arm reach over his shoulder, kind of grabbing a big portion of his chest, and then using that as leverage, this somewhat ethereal, spectral, familiar woman begins to appear out from his back, almost using his spine as a source to emanate from, and then hovering over his shoulder, her eyes and her face kind of resting just beside Buffy's, as she, holding the same pair of red eyes, also stares down at you. And without opening her lips, without speaking a word, you hear her voice kind of swirling in the back of your mind, that heat that is now encapsulating your body, centering around your brain, kind of locking in all of your perception in this singular noise. And you would eventually hear, "Welcome home. I have been waiting a long time."
Home? Wait, you're her.
Who do you think I am, Thor?
Okay. Wait. This does not look like my mom, just to make that clear.
No.
Okay. Then, cool. Well, I don't know exactly what you are, but I think you're Naturane?
Second. Why the tokens have to be annoying? There we go. Alright. As you...
Is this an out loud conversation?
So as you put this reply out, the rest of the party, unable to see this strange figure coming out of Buffy and not hearing any sort of dialogue, are just watching Thor and the now standing and tall Buffy just silently staring at each other for a rather extended period of time. But as you put out your guess or your assumption, you would see this kind of like playful smirk that she had on her lips spreading out wider into this large, toothy grin. And as she does, you would see that her teeth don't reflect what a human would be. There's these sharp, jagged, pointed growlers in the back. There's these almost kind of fanged teeth overlaying the natural human teeth in the front. It gives her this kind of strangely distorted, almost bestial appearance before she just very slowly nods her head. The hair attached to the top of her head kind of acting this almost delayed motion if she's hovering deep underwater and it's trailing behind everything that she does. But she gives the single nod. I am Naturain Thor, and this is your home, where I created you, where you were born to fill your destiny, my child.
Wait, what? Now I'm your kid? Oh my gosh, I have 3 parents?
As you begin to dip into the side of Thor that deals with most jarring scenarios with a bit of jovialness, there's this sharp, intense pain that kind of like splinters into your mind, kind of almost making your physical form flinch. Again, the various party members around you watching you kind of jerk upright before her voice comes back louder, more piercing than before. Do not play games with me, and do not treat this with the same dismissiveness that I have watched you wield. This is the most important moment of your life.
Okay, what do you want? You want me to kill the bear? I got it. Ow.
Thor, my sweet and strong child. I don't want you to kill the bear. I want you to take hold of what you were born to wield, the power that I have been curating for you since the start. And the way that you are going to wield it is by casting aside these physical connections you hold so dear.
How do I do that? I've only jumped into my mind once. Or somebody else's mind. I don't know how to
So
separate.
she kind of brings her other hand up and waves it down towards the small area in front of Buffy, like where you'd be standing basically face to face or face to midsection with this massive being. She points at that area and then kind of knocks her head towards the companions behind you. Send them above, and I shall reveal all. And she would kind of wave her hand up towards the cliff that kind of looks down upon the basin. And you would feel that warm weight that's kind of holding you in place slip enough that you kind of regain the use of your body.
Oh. Well. So that was that terrain. She said that you guys need to wait outside.
Thor, you've just been staring at your bear for a few minutes. What are you talking about?
What do you mean? No, not terrain. She came out of the bed. Did you see Buffy stand up? Like this?
Buffy is standing for everybody.
Yeah, he's standing right there. What, you just been staring at him though?
Yeah, she came out of the bear. You guys didn't see that?
We didn't see it, but we believe you, Thor.
Alright, well, I really need to figure out what's going on with this bear. You have no idea how long I've been trying to figure out what's going on with this bear. So I really need you guys to leave.
I don't expect anything to come from it, but I will divine sense one more time.
Mm-hmm. As you reach out, hearing this odd explanation through Thor, you do not feel any sort of presence that you can identify.
All right, Thor. If you're certain,
Yeah,
just
I'm okay.
yell if you need anything.
Will do.
Let's go.
Wait at the top, and I will be there very soon.
So if the party moves all in kind of a group, just to clarify. There. As you step out of the basin and up onto the high ground, you give Thor a few kind of like lingering looks, either through what's the word I'm looking for? I cannot speak today. Through fear that your companion might be stumbling down some path that won't see him alive for much longer. But as you all remove yourself from the red light being cast from the boulder, stepping up to this higher elevation, there is a sudden and almost violent whip of the air, that somewhat warm, wafting breeze that you had felt coming in, reversing its momentum and shooting down into the basin itself. You would see the red light from the boulder being caught up in this wind. Again, your perception of reality being questioned as this light is turned into a physical thing, being affected by this swirling mass. And as it gets closer and closer and more condensed, you see it circling just behind Buffy. And as you all watch this incredible phenomenon, you stare down into the basin, and behind Buffy is this elegant, strange, somewhat off-putting feminine figure draped over his shoulder, her red hair now encapsulating all of that light that had been cast around the cave, darting through her long red locks, kind of shooting out its own light. And as you all stare down and see this, her eyes would shift to Thor, up to you, and go from one companion to the next down the line before her large, toothy grin grows wider, and you all hear her inside of your head. Please stay. I like when they watch.
Would I have any knowledge of Naturain from the Chosen
Give me
Pruitt Empire?
a religion check. Because James reminded me that that's a thing.
Can I make one too, since I've been studying?
Sure. Oh, I never moved Buffy. Yes, I did. Why did I not update? Anyway.
Yeah. Studying hard enough.
Right as you said that, I was thinking that Valoran kind of whispers to Clay and says, "The natural world is your area of study, is it not? Do you know anything about this Naturain spirit?"
So, Clay, from your various oral stories that you had heard, the various passing down tales from your family and your ancestors, one of the things that you've heard a few different times, sometimes being referenced as actual fact, sometimes being kind of almost like a lesson to be learned or a folk tale almost, there's a fair amount of discussion that Naturain and Shevlin the Chosen were intermingled with one another. There are tales that say that she was this fiery, somewhat passionate companion or lover and fueled Shevlin in his crusade to kind of save the world, to stop Toradan. There are also tales that Shevlin almost used and betrayed her, using the power that she offered and then kind of casting her to the side. There's many conflicting accounts of who she is or what effect she has or what her domain is, but it is clear that she has a stranglehold, this immense power over all the various different beasts and monsters of this realm. There is some speculation that due to her power and what she oversees, that she must have some connection to the Great Entrance and the beasts and the strange creatures that spawn from that being somewhat similar to the things that she now lords over. The kind of ending of all this is that nothing is put to words as certain, nothing is referred to as 100% accurate, but this is the general knowledge that one would have about Naturaine in your position.
You know, there was a lot of connection between Shevlin and her. We're not entirely clear on what, but I will say I would not walk into her arms openly. She has connection to the beasts that plague the lands. Good or bad, I cannot say, but a healthy dose of caution I would recommend.
Spirit, Thor said that you wanted us to leave.
I told my bright child that I wanted you to stand above. Perhaps I'll be more clear in the future.
I thought you said to leave and stand above the cave.
So long as he goes unharmed, I think we can stay back.
Yeah, I'm definitely, I'm here with a spear and a shield today because I left all my cool stuff, my coolest stuff back at the house. But you can definitely see, sort of just fingers working on the spear, I don't really like this thing that I'm seeing, but it's what Thor wants, so...
So, after kind of addressing your companions,
She wants us to. Well, she wants us to go where? Up on the ledge above?
yeah, that's where you all are currently. Yeah,
Yeah. I
'Cause the cave has
misheard.
kind of
what-
2 levels.
Okay.
it's okay. You know, God speaking to mortals. There's a lot of room for miscommunication.
Sure.
Sure.
And Thor.
So as she kind of looks over your companions and eventually returns her eyes to you, Thor, you see that grin begin to shrink until her lips are pressed into this thin, serious line, her eyes kind of narrowing as she stares down at you. I have been waiting so long, and I'm sure you have as well. So, if we are done with questions, I can explain your purpose.
Yes. Please do. I'm very curious.
Thracius, the line of warriors that you come from, the ancestors that you descend from, not only are they capable and fierce and violent, but they are in tune with the natural order of this world. Many of the men, the women that have fought and clawed to bring you here respect the domain which I wield. And she kind of gestures down at not only the bear tattoo on your chest, but the bear buckle that you have on your belt. And she kind of waves this graceful, kind of slow hand. The totem of the bear was not chosen by your ancestors, it was given. And now it is time to fulfill that worship.
Alrighty. What do I need to do?
She kind of cranes her head down, looking at Buffy, which it's hard to describe the expressions that Buffy has held in the time you guys have traveled together, but there has always been a bit of personality behind his eyes, kind of in somewhat his facial features, but currently he stands tall, blank, and somewhat expressionless. These red eyes just kind of following her own as like she stares at you, stares at the companions, and then eventually kind of almost looks into himself as she stares down at the bear she is hovering over. To know that you are fully committed to the path that you were born to go down. I want you to prove yourself to me. I want you to dispose of this beast, this flickering flame of my power, so that I can truly focus all of my attention, all of my love into you, so that you, my dear son, my child, can face the darkness that is coming, wield the power that Shevlin should have all those years ago. By the way, the rest of you can hear this. Forgot to mention that. Once she appears.
Also, can I hear what, like, Valorant and Clay and all of them are saying? Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
Can I, like, insight
Sure,
this?
yes.
I would like to do that as well.
Okay.
I mean,
It's that meme. Everyone's like, insight check. Alrighty.
Is there anywhere I can hide while all this is going on?
Sure.
I
mean, there's that kind of cove that kind of sticks out from the south. That's more or less kind of obscured from everything.
Yeah, well, I'm not really sure how to feel about her right now. But figured.
Okay. Thor? No fucking idea what the hell's going on. Clay.
Same.
As you are watching this transaction, being relatively new to all the powers and strange scenarios that the Golden Hearts find themselves in, you are going over every word, every inflection with a magnifying glass and a fine-tooth comb. You are making sure that nothing is wasted, nothing is passed up on, as you are almost like, as intently as she's staring at Thor, you are staring down at her. Listening to her words, hearing her tone, the vibe that you feel is that of a being of kind of unknown origin or age or identity has been waiting patiently, biding her time, watching from the sidelines, and now, for the first time in a very long time, all of her plans and her preparations and her dreams have presented themselves in front of her, and that is the somewhat twisted affection that you are seeing in her expression, in her words, and in her meaning.
And then the comments regarding Shevlin, was there like a lot of bitterness or disappointment in that? Anger, I assume?
A muted fury is how I would describe it.
So it would be safe to say he betrayed her, maybe by not fulfilling a role.
That would go beyond the insight check, sir.
Fair enough. I'm going to make that assumption now. See how that plays out. Okay.
So, as everyone kind of takes a moment to insight this scenario, you see her reach a hand down and kind of touching just beneath Buffy's, I don't think bears have pecs, but I guess like the chest area for comparison. She then curls her fingers in, and these long, thick, almost kind of grotesque talons protrude from the tips of her fingers. And she begins to drag her slender hand up his fur, leaving these 4 distinct trails of blood in its wake. And eventually she kind of flourishes her fingers or her hand from his flesh, a bit of blood kind of splattering off into the rocks behind her. You see her bring each finger down, gently rubbing the blood off on her lips, swirling her tongue around them before replacing her hand down on the bear. Thor, you have a choice, and I will only give you this option once. If you do as I say, and you fulfill your purpose, I will bestow upon you a power that no one else could compare to. A rage, a fury, a strength that no mortal man could deny. I know that you are fearful, that you are not enough, that you are not strong enough to take on Kuztar, the lesser being that looks down upon you. But if you take my blessing, he will be but a fly to you, something to swat out of your way as you take what is yours. She kind of pauses. Mute your mic, by the way. She pauses for a moment, and then again kind of like glances down at Buffy. Or I can bestow my blessing upon a warrior, a creature of equal value that is amongst your bloodline. And then she turns her eyes back up to you. Your mother, part of her spirit, clings to this world, clings to Buffy. If you are not ready to fulfill your purpose, I will bring her back at the expense of Buffy's life. Or if you are pathetic and weak, I will simply let this bear live out the rest of its natural life. But you will live the rest of your existence knowing that you passed up on glory, on power that could face down gods. Those are your options, my dear child.
To be clear, my options are kill the bear, take the power myself.
Yep.
Kill the bear and give the power to my mom, whose partial soul is in the bear,
Yes, more or less.
or let the bear live.
Yes.
I'll while he's deliberating, I'll send a message to Thor and tell him, if it makes your decision easier, he did ask you to kill him. I believe he wants this.
Thor,
What?
the Great Chosen himself, allied with her. Perhaps this is the weapon you all have been seeking to fight your reoccurring enemy.
Nazarene. You know, I actually, ever since I heard you the first time talk about, like, kill him, which is really creepy, just by the way. Don't hurt my head. But I thought about it. And Buffy is, you know, he's old. I feel like, one, he lived his lifetime a while ago with my mom and my dad. And then he lived it again with me. So I think that, you know, it might be his time. And as like a person of nature, I feel like it's good to understand when when it's something's time. Now, my mom... Why'd you have to even bring my mom? You should have just left that one out, to be fair. Because I really would love to see my mom again.
As you say that, Buffy's eyes that have been locked with yours, you see flicker for just a brief moment before the red fades away, and this kind of icy blue, long lost eyes fill his gaze, and for a moment you are staring into the eyes of your mother, and you hear that drifting lullaby that you had heard Buffy produce all that time ago begin to almost magically fill the air of the cave, coming from everywhere but seemingly nowhere at the same time. And just for a few softer moments, you get to experience this rush of nostalgia, of longing from your mother, before his eyes flick back to red and the lullaby fades.
I'll just kind of like pause, close my eyes. As much as I would like to see my mom, I think I need to... Well, I hope I need to grow up and embrace my future and stop looking at the past and realize what I could become. And I want to be strong for my mom and for, and I'll look a bit, my party. For you guys. I'm supposed to be the strongest. So I want to embrace what you have to offer. Because if you can give somebody as powerful as Shevlin power, I mean, I don't think I can pass that up, especially with what we're facing, what we're going to face. So I choose me.
Thor, my perfect child. You do not simply receive my gift. You take it. And as she says this, the long bleeding cuts that she had pulled through Buffy's chest begin to gush. These kind of like sporadic spurts of blood kind of shooting from the wounds. And then you see that red light that glows through her hair that was resonating around the cave when you first stepped in begins to glow from somewhere deep inside the beast's chest. And as the party and Thor watch on, you begin to hear this bubbling, crunching, squishing sound as the true shape of Buffy begins to change, begin to adapt. You see what used to just be a large mountain of flesh become muscled, defined, rippled, larger. He grows taller, his chest stretching out wider, the paws that he wields turning into these almost humanoid giant mitts with these jagged bestial talons kind of producing from his palms. And Thor, as you stand there, you are staring up at this massive humanoid monster of Buffy this towering, intimidating, imposing creature. And there's just this quick, small snort of breath out of his nose that sends a red puff of light out into the air before Naturing kind of smiles wide and then descends back behind him. Roll me initiative, sir. So Thor, as you are watching this creature mutate in front of you, the Buffy that you have traveled with for so long, that you've just kind of had at your side no matter what has happened, disappear before your eyes, transform into this completely foreign, terrifying beast, you get to make the first step.
Well, bonus action, I would like to rage.
Well, wait. Did I got a 21, right?
Oh, or I took that as you not attacking was you saying that was your turn.
No, but
You're gonna have Aurora do the help action?
Yeah, I'm just gonna have Aurora do the help action.
Gotcha. All right.
Okay. Bonus action, rage.
Does that even help Thor if he's raging? Is he already getting an advantage?
No, you'd be giving him advantage.
Rage gives me resistance to damage.
All right, cool. So,
and then I'll kind of just look up at Buffy and just through like the seethingness of my rage, just be like, it's time to let go, old friend. And I will, I guess, am I already in melee?
Yes. Oh,
all right, then I will make my 2 attacks. One of them at advantage, correct? Or I get 2 attacks per action.
Yeah, I think that would rule as 1 advantage. All right, both those hit.
All right, so that is 18 and 13.
Okay, so 31.
Yep.
Okay. So Thor, as you lash out, deciding that it is time to move on, to embrace this path that you've just recently learned about, but seems to be the most reasonable direction for your life to take, you lash out with the pickaxe, and you feel your first swing connect with the flesh, kind of digging into the thigh of this beast. But no matter how much you drive with your strength or pull it back, you feel this thick, meaty, weighty resistance that once you do pull the pickaxe away, the only thing you are able to harm is ripping a small clump of fur away from the skin. There's no penetration or damage into the actual flesh. And as you reel back again and land another blow, you strike the other leg, dealing a rather similar bit of damage as well. It is clear that you are striking and that you are hitting and that you are harming it, but it is surface level at best.
So like am I actually doing damage?
Yes. It is clear that you are doing damage, but it's just surface level at best.
It's just a tanky thing. Okay.
So as you land your blows and the party is watching this transaction from above, for a quick point of order, Buffy would be at about eye level with all of you standing up on this higher elevation. So as Buffy almost kind of flexes his muscles, this kind of rippling physique that even outdoes Thor's somewhat extreme appearance, there is this quick snarl that reaches his lips, the strange mixture of bear and human face kind of swirling together before he lets out this resonating roar that echoes around the tight space, kind of stinging your ears, causing everyone to almost kind of flinch into themselves for a moment before he just begins lashing, heavy paw after heavy paw, swiping forward at you, striking and striking and striking. What is your AC, sir?
15 currently.
Hit. Hit. Miss. Hit. Alrighty. And you are raging, correct?
Yes.
You take 17 points of damage. So as can't speak, hulking beast begins to just swipe these massive blows your way, you manage to kind of duck out of one way, duck out of the other. You're just kind of barely being grazed by these somewhat broken and sharp talons, these claws that are almost twice or three times the size of the actual claws that Buffy had had previously. You rely upon the difficult life that you've had. You realize that in any moment, if this was a singular moment in your life that required you to stand tall, to hold firm, this is it. You feel your skin reflecting some of the damage, kind of pushing away his hand as you stand. You're still feeling the bruise of his mighty blow upon your skin. And then we'll swirl back up to Decker.
I'll just keep that rotation going if it's helpful.
Okay.
To fly Aurora in, give the help action, and swoop out. That's
Sounds
all I'm
good.
doing.
All right. So Aurora would dart across a small space again, kind of almost like nicking the monster in the ear, just distracting him enough for Thor. You want to go ahead and take your blows, sir?
Yep. So again, still not working, but I know it's a D12 plus.
You got to roll to hit first.
Yeah, I know. It's a D20. So I'll roll 2 D20s for the first one.
Yep.
So that's a natural 20.
Nice.
And then this is the second one. It's a 13 plus 8, so it's a 21.
Okay. Natural critical, and then hit.
Nice. Plus 7, so that's 2 plus 7 is 9. Plus 2.
7 has your rage included.
Oh, okay. So then 8. No, 9. Still 9. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then another D12. 11 plus 7. Is that what you said? So 18.
Mm-hmm.
And then as my bonus action, I'll use the pendant that I have to increase my AC by 2.
Okay.
And that is what I have for now.
So lashing out again, landing your 2 blows. It's not incredibly difficult to hit this thing due to just how large it is and how much space it is taking up around you. But it is almost disheartening as you land another blow, and it just doesn't feel like you're making any progress or making any headway or even making the beast second guess its movements. You are just striking out at this almost terrifying, immortal, unlynching creature. And then you speak to the pendant, feel the kind of washing energy shoot over you, making your figure almost kind of shimmer or reflect a little bit in the dim light, causing any sort of perceived attack towards you to be a little bit wide, a little bit short, things of that nature. Sound good? All right. I'm just going to go after you again, sir. So now you're 17? All right. It's a hit. That's a miss. Miss. And a hit. Okay. You take... I'm going to keep giving you resisted damage because it's just you. It's going to be easiest.
That's fine. Yeah.
You take 11 points of damage.
11. Okay. Cool.
Party, as you are still watching from above this combat going back and forth where Thor is seemingly trying to stand tall against this beast that is practically twice his size and maybe 3 times his mass. It doesn't appear to be going overly well in Thor's favor as more and more claws manage to kind of catch him on the side, scratch at his flesh, get past his defenses as the combat keeps going back and forth. And then Decker, I imagine Aurora flies in, help action flies away yet again, so back to Thor.
We'll squeeze in at the bottom of the next initiative count.
I guess I'll take my 2 swings.
Mm-hmm. Both hits?
20 and 15. Oh, okay. So that's 19 and 11.
Okay, so 30?
Yes.
Okay. I will save you some monotony. Same thing. Striking doesn't feel like you're really sinking in, but you are doing something.
I'll just like, I guess as I'm swinging through, I'll just be like, I will get to you down at some point.
Fitting.
Alright.
And then Buffy would take his turn. Still 17. Hit. Hit. Miss. Ooh, hit. Jesus. Okay. Oh God. You would take 28 points of damage. As you
Seems
are
good.
shouting out your frustrations to this beast, it not being slowed or held back in any manner, just begins mawing at you and like basically surrounding your figure and then just battering you around within its grasp. It is clear that if anybody is gaining footing in this scenario, it is this unstoppable beast, this fueled monster that once was your traveling companion. And then Valoran.
So just in the background, Valoran says, "You can do this, Thor. Claim your destiny." And kind of shake his arm, and his charm bracelet drops out of his sleeve from his disguise, and hold my hand up and cast Shield of Faith on Thor, giving him another 2 to his AC.
Thor, as you are feeling less and less of the world around you being accessible to you as it is replaced by fur and muscle and flesh, you hear Valoran calling out to you, and Valoran from above, you call out with your charm, you send forth your power, and where usually you would watch your energy flow down around, kind of skirting over the skin of the creature that you are blessing, instead you see it sink deeper past his flesh, inside of him, a moment of fear and then kind of questioning crossing over your mind before you see a bright red X cross over the bear tattoo that he has on his chest, and you can tell that something is not right.
Stab him in the eye, boy.
We would be back up to Decker's round with Aurora and then Thor.
Yep. I'll just keep swinging.
Is that a 12 at the end?
Yep.
That'd be a
It
miss.
is
It's just one
indeed.
hit.
All right. So it's 17.
You feel your focus begin to kind of fade as each strike is just basically serving to get you more and more infuriated. You do land this blow, and you actually sink the tip past the flesh just enough for a little bit of that glowing red blood to kind of eke out of the wound. You're still not driving through with the ferocity that you're used to, but at least you have drawn blood at this point.
Amazing. I'll just kind of like at the end just be like, you do bleed. I'll just keep going.
All right. Your AC is 15, sir.
Thanks for letting me know.
Oh, damn it. That's not going to be good. What's your HP at?
You'll find out.
It's half. Take 42 points of damage.
Wasn't that many points. So I am knocking it down.
So, why don't you open up the Primal Rage page for me there, Danny boy?
Righto. I got you, bruv.
Give me a little read. Give me a synopsis.
Alright. Primal Rage. Similar to entering a normal range, I can go to a Primal Rage. They cannot use normal weapons or a shield. Instead, talons or claws grow from their fingertips to serve as natural weapons. Weapons. However many attacks the user normally has can now be doubled. So if I attack twice, I can now attack 4 times.
Mm-hmm.
Consecutive attacks will gradually increase the damage die. This is limited to once per creature per round.
The long story short of that is if you attack a creature on one round, you start with a 1d6, and then the next round you attack with a d8, and then a d10, and then a d12, and that ramps up. I think it caps at d20. So eventually your damage die for all of them could be d20s.
Okay, and so is that like per round?
Per
So like
round,
if I hit
it goes up
okay.
once per round, and you have to be focusing on a creature and not doing any other actions on other creatures.
Gotcha. Okay. And then usually cannot. Okay, I'm still vulnerable to psychic damage. Thanks for popping.
But now you're
that.
vulnerable to psychic damage, not just mute.
Oh, so I take double
yeah.
damage.
Yeah.
Nice. For each round, I gain. The user is in a primal range. I gain a point of exhaustion. Okay.
But it only
So,
takes
like,
effect once the rage ends.
But isn't it like the 5th?
8th is death.
Oh,
And then I think like 6 is incapacitated.
okay. Cool. Awesome. All right, got it. Cool.
All right.
Carry on.
So as you are hit with a blow to the side of your head that sends your vision blurry, you feel your limbs crumpling down beneath you. You hit the ground with a thud, much to the dismay of everybody viewing this scenario, and you see this monstrous beast above you give the slightest bit of pause before you see that same toothy grin that Naturain had given you earlier spread across this beast's face. And as you hit the ground, you feel the heat from before that had blanketed over you and actually debilitated your movement, now seeping into your muscles, coursing through your blood, hitting your heart, and causing this intense, burning fury to emanate from your core. And to the best of your ability, describe to me what it looks like when Thor enters a primal rage. Take into consideration that you cannot speak or understand any spoken language in this state.
So, I imagine it would be like, especially with the red light, there would be like, well, 1, he hits the ground, right? But 2, as he's getting back up, it's like punching the ground, making a dent each time, like putting both fists in the ground. And then like as he puts his fist in the ground, you can see the veins like crackle up red, just like all through his body. And then it goes to his feet, he plants his feet in his ground, they make craters. And then once it gets up to his eyes, they're just like red and like solid red. And it's like that moment in like horror movies where there's just that brief pause before it jumps at you.
Perfect. There is the added benefit of you now either have you could do like Wolverine claws if wanted, or claws that kind of come out of your palms almost like an actual animal, or claws that kind of ascend or produce from like your fingernails. I'll leave that flavor up to you.
Okay. I would imagine that his hands, kind of like Naturain's, they grow from
like different from his normal hands, and these like start turning into bear-esque talons and hands, and the claws are like super long, and yeah, so there's like a little more fur going down.
For this time, you get your HP restored to half, and then I guess we're down to Valorant's turn after Buffy's turn.
Just observing at this point.
Okay, are you still holding that concentration?
Guess not.
Okay. If you do cancel it, you would be able to witness not only the rather terrifying new image of Thor standing up and appearing like an absolute monster, but you would see that kind of red, strange X fade from his skin. So. And now we're up to Decker, who again I imagine would help action, and then down to Primal Rage Thor.
All right. So it's the same to hit, correct? As anything else? Okay. Then I guess I will make 4 attacks with my cliggers.
And the first one being an advantage.
Yes. 1,
hit,
2,
miss,
3,
hit,
4.
Miss. 2 hits.
All right. Cool. And then those are D6s, correct?
Yep.
So
plus whatever
strength.
bonuses you would get for strength weapons.
Strength plus proficiency?
Yeah.
Oh. So that's different. So it's 8 then. So that plus 16, is that right?
Yeah, sounds right. So 24.
Yes. Do I add my rage bonus to that?
Yes, you would if it's a strength-based
So it'd
weapon.
be plus 4, so 28.
Okay. So as you stand back up, feeling this fresh wave, this surge of energy coursing through you, that is physically visible from your exterior as you resonate this completely terrifying aesthetic to the onlookers above you. You strike first with your somewhat transformed hand, feeling your claws sinking into the flesh, and where the pickaxe had failed to dig, your claws just shift through it like butter, just absolutely sinking until it hits your knuckles, and you just get this like quick flash of like, oh yeah, and then sending your second attack in, and you are now clearly dealing proper damage versus what you were struggling against initially.
All right, cool.
All right. So your attack dice will go up next round, and that is your first point of exhaustion.
Okay, and then do I get the sense that my necklace like is not working, or like didn't work?
It was working. I'm sure James has a theory as to why your AC went down, but I will leave that up till later. Your AC is now 17 again.
Okay, so it is. Okay, because I was gonna say I can make it work again.
Yeah.
But okay, well I'm gonna bonus action healing light. Can I do that on myself? Because it says a creature you can see within 60 feet. So I'm a creature I can see within 60 feet.
Yeah, I might, because I did not write this after you became a warlock. Say that is not something you could cast during Primal Rage. It seems to be outside the scope, following the kind of general idea of the ability.
Okay, so in essence, Primal Rage trumps healing light, but like normal rage, I can do it. Okay,
Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Good to go? All right. So Buffy, which now losing some of the ferocity and more appearing to enjoy the current scenario, strikes out at you again. It's a miss, a hit, and a hit. And I don't think that it is fully lost on everyone that he may have something similar going on his end, so this might hurt a little bit. Okay. You would take 22 points of damage.
You're rolling those d20s at this point.
Yep. I should have just not raged and died.
But we're down to Valorant in case you want to do anything there. Back up to
keep going.
Decker, Aurora, Thor.
All right, then I will. I'm probably gonna die next hit anyways, so I'll recklessly attack on all of these attacks, and I will just use the pick. I'll just use the pickaxe as hitting. Well, actually, I can do unarmed strike.
Mm-hmm.
2, 3, 4. Right?
Okay. Those all hit. You have a third critical. I would go ahead and roll the critical first or last, so you just know which one it is.
Okay, I'll roll it first. So the critical is, I'm now doing D8s.
Yes.
So it's a D8 plus 8 plus 2, so plus 10. Or no,
Sure.
plus, wait. Yes.
You gotta sit down and write this out at some point.
I know. I do. I think it's plus 10 because
It's
my strength is
plus
5, my
plus
proficiency
the
is 3,
rage bonus.
and then my rage bonus is 2, so
Yeah.
it's 10.
Okay.
So D8 plus 10, so 14. And
Okay.
then the 4 is doubled to 8, so 18.
Yeah.
Okay,
First
so
hit.
that's the first one. And then I roll, what, 1, 2, 3 D8s?
Yeah.
And then
Okay.
plus 30?
That's 41.
Yep.
So that is a total of 59 damage. Correct?
58. Yeah, 59.
Nope, you're good.
59.
Okay.
59.
So Thor, as you feel like you were coming into your own, like this back and forth is now not a retreat or a tactical retreat. Words are very difficult. You are now playing this tug of war game with this monster above you. You feel yourself regaining ground. You feel that now that your weapons can actually do some harm, do some damage, there is this intensity, this ferocity, this recklessness to your advance. How do you want to do this?
So I will kind of just like use my hands to climb up the bear, like slashing along the way.
Okay.
And just kind of like slash grab, and then at the end just like come down it. And just be like, this is my destiny, and then just like carve it.
So as you land the first sinking blow, you feel your knuckles impacting the flesh and your claws diving down deeper. You then use it as leverage to yank yourself up, landing another blow, another. I knock water all over my desk as you... The party watch you begin to climb this beast, getting higher and higher until your fourth hit, that last blow of your hand, strikes directly into his heart. You can feel the muscle or the heartbeat that you strike almost vibrating through your claws into your bones and across your own body. This thump 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 bump bump. And as you hear or feel this last heartbeat pulse, you drag your claws down, slicing these thin, perfectly stripped stripes of meat from his chest, falling away almost like string cheese as you land down on the floor and you swipe your claws away, and you feel all of the rage, the intensity, the emotions, and the fury of this scenario kind of resting right at the front of your gaze, like right between your eyes. And there is a sudden wash of relief, exhaustion, pain, weariness as the primal rage you'd relied upon begins to fade and your body begins to grow heavy around you.
Yeah, I would say everything just kind of like everything sort of slowly retracts. So like the color would start to fade. His eyes would obviously go slowly back to normal. And then I'll just like fall to one knee.
So that would be 2 levels of exhaustion if I kept track correctly, which
Yes.
for right now doesn't matter, but for future reference, that is disadvantage on ability checks is level 1, and then speed is halved at level 2. The other thing that we didn't go over with Primal Rage is you only heal those levels of exhaustion by a long rest. You cannot be healed of exhaustion by spells and other effects.
Okay. Cool.
So, but yes, you would all watch as the towering monster of Buffy falls backwards, stumbles, and becomes this bloody heap of muscle in the corner of the cave. Thor kind of landing himself down onto the ground, kind of catching himself. There would be this immediate evacuation of the warmth and the heat of the cave, this quick disperse where it sends out into the night sky, and there's simply silence kind of falling down around you all as the scene begins to calm.
Clay would reach out. Command you forth, spirit. Heal my ally. And he'd cast a healing spirit. And technically I could do up to 10d6, I guess. It lasts for a minute. 1 time each round.
Go ahead.
I need 9 more of those.
Yup.
Nope. Ignore
You
that.
tried really hard there. I applaud
I
you.
know.
I'll take your 4.
No. I don't know if you mean to be muted.
I messed up. I can only do it 5 times total.
Okay.
Okay,
7.
So
So you need 3 more. We're getting there slowly.
no, the 3 plus the 15, so 18.
Oh,
I can
that's
only
total.
The 5
okay.
5
Okay,
healed
gotcha.
out of it. I was mistaken on that.
You're
So
good.
yeah,
Gotcha.
you regain 17 hit points as the light of the healing spirit descends into your body.
Decker and Valorant, is there anything you are doing as Clay moves down to heal your strange new ally?
Is he standing up or?
Like on your knees, right? Or you're kind of like...
I'm kneeled down, like one fist on the ground, kneeled.
I'd hop down and go next to you and just help you stand up if you wanted it.
So, are you the only part? Are you doing anything, Valorant, before I say anything?
Just coming down to be a part of the group, but I don't have anything to add at this point.
Okay. Well, if Decker was the first one down, I mean, even still, you would see like I'm visibly like sweating like a lot, but also I'm crying. Not sure if you're able to tell it or not. You don't quite know if I am or if I'm not.
The whole
But-
there was something in my eye game.
Yeah. Or I'm sweating a lot.
Did quite well, Thor.
If you like talk to me like once you speak to me, I'll just like almost instinctively like reach up for a punch, like just like coming out of that aggression. And then I'll just
I don't flinch, but
you don't have to, because my punch wouldn't make it, because Thor realizes how exhausted he is. And he'll just like try to catch himself as he falls.
yeah, and I'll do my best to keep him from falling.
Wait,
Oh.
yeah.
What just happened?
Believe you received the gift from Nature Rain.
You made a difficult choice.
It was what Buffy wanted. I believe a part of him lives in you now.
Did I really make the right choice?
None of us can answer that.
Given what we just saw of Thor, would Clay know anything about Shevlin that would match what he just witnessed? Any reports of his battle lust drawing him into, such a mindless destruction?
Go ahead, give me a history check. Nothing that you can easily recall.
Oh. Well done, boy. You've accepted a gift from one who helped Shevlin himself. We may actually have a chance now.
I guess Thor will kind of sluggishly get up, look back. Did I do that?
You did.
So that wasn't like a dream.
You became like an animal.
Like a bear, right? I'll just kind of be looking at my...
Right.
Whoa.
I hope that you will recognize us the next time that happens.
I'll be honest. I couldn't hear anything.
Well, whatever the hell that was. Glad you're on our side.
I'm glad that terrain is now on our side. And like you said, hopefully a little bit of Buffy lives in me. And maybe my mom too.
Do you suppose that we've earned the right to camp here?
I would sure as heck hope so.
I think a rest would be in order, and we can hopefully make Taman Top tomorrow before dawn and get back before the others get worried.
Yeah, I could really just sit down and fall asleep for I think about 4 years. So let me know what happens with Novin and stuff. I'll be back.
Good night, Thor.
And I'll pretty much just like right where I'm standing, just like sit down and close my eyes.
Well, I would suggest that the rest of us could keep up the watches, unless your plant acquaintances could do the job.
I must admit their sentient lifespan is somewhat limited, but on a positive note, they can always make for firewood. So,
Caspian, can your owl take a shift without you being awake?
She could alert us. I'm quite refreshed. I can certainly stay up longer than than normal.
We should have it covered then. That was... Not sure how to feel about that. As long as Thor is fulfilled, I suppose.
Thor's dead asleep, so you could yell at him and you would not wake him.
Try to take his pack or whatever's soft and kind of put it under his head and get him as comfortable as I can. And then I'll go out to the front and begin my watch.
So is there any other interactions before kind of moving through the night, going through the watches?
does anyone want a fire? Or are we good
Yeah.
with the cold camp?
Yeah, I don't think that would be a bad idea. Inside the cave, it seems cozy.
It sounded like the cave was already warm. Like, uncomfortably warm.
Well, when Buffy, the bigger version of Buffy, was slayed, the heat that was emanating from the cave kind of disappeared.
Okay.
Valorant, if you wouldn't mind helping me with the firewood, and he'll draw forth his scimitar and just, I've got this, but might need some help hacking some branches off there.
All right.
I'll go back to the tree I spoke with earlier. Hit it with blight and suck all the moisture and vitality out of it,
Jesus Christ.
and go and gather some firewood.
All right.
Nature can be cruel. I see.
I'd like to think it said something before it died. I want to hear
Well,
Nathan's.
it did have 10 minutes of sentience, so I don't know if that
How long has this been?
exchange.
Is it probably within 10 minutes? It probably is. Okay. What does it look like when you cast Blight, sir?
Just as the void between the heavens consume, so shall it consume you.
So as
And
you...
I was gonna say the discs will spin counterclockwise, and dark energy will wash across the tree.
As you approach, you hear the voice that you had left so dearly last time. I heard noise. And then it would just fade.
I'll tell you this much: as cruel as nature can be, given the lifetime of the stars above us, nothing really matters in the long run. But at least the wood's dry now.
Today I have sympathy for a bear and a tree. With the golden hearts, my horizon ever expands.
Valoran with sympathy and Thor with a sense of humor. So we'll mark this day in the calendar.
Well, I said I would help, so I carry the remains of this tree to wherever Clay wants it.
Yes, after the party acquire fresh firewood, because that's a thing, I guess, now, there would be rather easily a campfire set up, however you want to go about lighting that, providing a fair amount of warmth and comfort in the cave as the red light from the boulder, from the moon, begins to fade away. There is a slowly growing puddle of blood coming from the large beast slayed in the corner, but that seems to be a rather minuscule detail at this point. But yes, however the party wants to take watch, kind of reflect on the events so far, that would all go rather uneventful through the night until whatever time the party sees fit to rise.
I think Valard would have a sense of how long is appropriate. Like, obviously, he's not thinking in terms of a long rest, but he understands a reasonable length of time for resting, and as soon as that is met, he starts waking up everybody and encouraging the group to get moving back to Taman Top.
So, Thor, you would rise, and you would have one less level of exhaustion, but you still have the singular level. But yeah, you would all wake up to the stale smell of metallic-y tasting blood in the air, a bit of fire smoke kind of mixed in with it. I'd imagine we're probably talking about 7 or 8 o'clock is when the party gets up and about and begins heading back. Is there any decisions, conversations, things I should know about between that time?
Clay would offer to become a large horse, or maybe a bear for that's insensitive. A horse for Thor to ride on.
Soon.
Thor would get up and kind of like, hopefully when nobody's looking, or maybe there are, I don't know, Thor doesn't know. He would just walk over to, I guess, the shreds of Buffy.
Buff.
And kind of like kneel down, say, "I'm sorry, old friend. That's apparently what you wanted. I'll never know if this was the right choice. I had to choose what I feel. And if you're somewhere in here, around there, I'll miss both of you."
Thor, what's your passive perception?
12. It's my highest passive.
As you are taking a moment alone with the now carcass of Buffy, or Buff Buffy, as Rob seems to enjoy, your eyes kind of look over the mess that the raging monster that you've been previously had made. And as you speak, you find your eyes almost kind of naturally being drawn to a small pebble, kind of almost floating in the now mostly congealed and dried blood. As you stare at it, it just shifts like a centimeter or two further down this kind of slick surface of the cave. And if you were to kind of look at it or reach down and pick it up, it would just be a fairly small, ovular, completely smooth blue pebble that seems somewhat insignificant, but it does not match any of the coloration of the rocks nearby or any sort of rock color that you would be familiar with in the first place.
I guess I would just pick it up. I will remember you. I guess I'll take that with me. Hold it in my hand. And then is there any way I can get some of the red stone? I have a pickaxe.
Yes. You could try.
Alright, I'd like to try.
Explain to me how you go about doing this, sir.
Is there any
The rock.
Is there any within reach?
If you go up to the higher elevation, it's still about 5-10 feet over your head there. So you could reasonably reach it and strike at it.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't like to chip off a large amount. I'd just like to, jump up a little bit and just tink and just chip the very tip off if I can of something that's jutting out.
Okay. All right. Well, then instead of making you roll a strength check, I think I'm gonna have you roll a dexterity check instead.
I'd rather do a strength.
You can add that.
Oh, it's like what?
13.
You scratch a bit of dust off of the surface.
All right. Well, then frustrated. Oh, wait. Okay. Well, frustrated. I guess I'll just actually swing at it.
Oh. You would have disadvantage on this.
Yeah, I know. So it didn't even matter.
Yeah, I just realized that.
Yeah,
that's
so
gonna
did
be
I.
fun. Yes.
Yeah. All right. So I guess I'll use my strength now.
And just hack at it. Go for it. Nice. Yeah, Thor's real tired. He's real knackered.
Can I see what? Is there any way I could try to repeat what he's doing for him?
Is it going to become the party's sole focus to get a small chunk of this stone? If that's the case, we can do a group check and make this happen.
I just wanted to collect the memento from my dad.
I'm going to stand back. I'm not going to be part of this because I think somebody's about to get their head zapped off.
Decker, do you want to attempt to strike a small chunk out of it? Potentially
Sure.
with Thor's pickaxe if he provides it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll just I'll be lazily swinging it. I'll be I just want a chip for my dad.
Add that
That
to
soft spot in my
whatever
heart
you
for the
roll.
dad. Let me try.
All right, give me a
So-
dex check, sir,
All right.
with a +6 added to it.
So 18.
I would say you could manage to break off a rather small, maybe an 1.5 inch long chip That's a lot longer and thinner than it is uniform. It's almost like a sliver. You would be a little bit fearful if it was like wood, that it might actually turn to like a splinter and get beneath your skin. But that would be what you could mine from this stone.
What kind of clothes is Thor wearing?
Your loincloth currently?
That's it. I'll just walk up to Thor and I'll pull his loincloth out and just wedge it in there and tap him on the side. And
Oh, thank you, Decker. Thanks.
you're welcome. Keep it safe.
Keep it secret. Keep it safe.
All right. Ready to... Wait, what? Did you just whisper?
No, sorry.
Oh. I was like, Naturane's coming back.
PTSD.
Are we ready to go? Clay, you offered me a ride.
Yeah, here. Get up on top of me.
I'm taking it.
I imagine you all will wait until you get out of the cave, because the ceiling would be much too low to ride a horse out. But yeah.
Has Gavin taught me anything about like prayers for recently deceased or anything like that?
Yeah, that would be like one of the most common practices that he kind of sees or, doles out. So I imagine at this point he certainly would have gone over it or shown you it or explained the process.
So I'd like to go over to Buffy's corpse and with the ritual that he would have taught me, begin that and just say a quick prayer to Rumitz and like, Rumitz, I don't know if this bear falls into your realm, but if it's in your power, keep him in your service and have him waiting for Thor when Thor joins you in the afterlife.
All right. Anything else before the party departs the cave? Plopping back on the folk map. Lots to do. Alright. So I guess I will make a open request or question. Is it worthwhile returning to Tamantop, having that discussion? Is there something we could skip over? Is there interest there? I will put forth, because I did not mention it at the beginning of the session, that Sir Florent has been traveling with you all. Obviously, with Thor kind of personally dealing with this problem, he would have stayed at Tamantop, either sleeping with the cart that you all used to transport the half-orcs and Black Eye, or just kind of milling about and waiting for your return. So he would be there as well, but just kind of seeing what you guys are interested in pursuing.
I guess I would... I mean, the only thing I would do is just tell my dad, like, everything that just happened.
Everything?
Yeah.
Okay. We could play that out if you want.
We can. Is that what you want to do? Because it seems like that's what you want to do.
No, I'm trying to get a gauge on what the party wants so that we're not just trudging around. So.
Well, I mean, like...
in terms of plans, maybe prudent to return to Corsair and grab the caravan to head out to the outpost or fortress of the Knights of the West, I think, was the next idea.
In fact, I will let Thor have whatever private moments he wants with Oldrill, while I tell Lemoyne that is the next thing that I intend to do. We're going to get back to Corsair, we're going to get ourselves together, and then we're going to go to the Chevaliers HQ and try to... I tell him, try to find the location of the eye. But... yeah.
Alright. we'll go ahead and play out the interaction between Thor and your father. To help condense a little bit of time, obviously traveling back down the mountain, returning without Buffy, getting to the castle, he would obviously, welcome everybody in, provide, food and whatnot as a gracious host. We'll say that, probably make the most sense that you're kind of sat beside like a small table with a bit of, bread and wine and other kind of snacky type pickings. Again, sitting in his chair, leaned back, his scepter clasped in his hands. He's kind of like tapping against the floor a little bit softly. Do we want to do the whole I explain blah, 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 and then picking up from there?
Yeah, I can. So I would basically I would highlight, this is what I saw, and then they didn't see that, and then they went away, and then everybody saw that, and then she explained my options, and I chose this because of these reasons, and then specifically on the one that came to bringing my mom back, I would include I didn't know if she was telling the truth because that seems impossible.
So he would listen to all you had to say, kind of very silently, just taking it in step by step, mulling it over. Eventually, as you get to the decisions you were given, and then also asking a few clarifying questions around the moment where the eyes change and the lullaby played, he would let you completely finish the explanation and then just be staring down at the floor between you two in silence for a good while. After several long seconds go by, you see him kind of lift a hand from his scepter. He takes a thumb and just kind of quickly wipes the base of his eye away before returning his grip back. It seems that you did what was right, son. Though it,
But I don't know that, Dad. I really wanted to bring her back. I really did. But I didn't want to do what was good for us, or good for me, versus good for everyone. I feel I can help more people this way.
certainly was the more noble thing to do, but an old man can't deny what his heart feels. It was hard enough hearing that she had passed when you first arrived.
Yeah, I know.
I know that we haven't fully talked about this, and I'm sure it's not the most interesting thing for you to listen to, but it was such a peculiar feeling coming down from the mountains after your mother saved me. While I don't think that I loved her in the way that our society sees fit, there was a connection with her that I could never put into terms. And though I knew that I was never going to see her again, that there was no way our lives could coexist, it always brought me some comfort knowing that she was up in the mountains, living her life, enjoying the nature. And it's very difficult to know that her life is at an end and it almost feels like losing her a second time, even if it was just deceit.
I know. But I bet you she's waiting for you. Because I can tell you, she did not love Kustar. Nobody did.
Well, perhaps when I move on, there'll be plenty of time to teach me the giant's tongue.
Hey, I could teach you. I know Giant.
I fear that you have much more important things to do, my son.
Yeah.
He kind
If only
of
we'd met 20 years ago.
he lifts his head up to you, and having kept his eyes mostly downcast at this point, you can see the bits of like held back tears kind of like wavering just on the lower eyelids, and he meets your gaze with a tired, old, and genuine well of emotion. And he just kind of like gives a very slow, singular nod while one of the tears kind of finally escapes and rolls down his wrinkled chin. I'm very proud of you, son.
My eyes would be the same. Thanks, Dad.
I know that you're an Odril, so you will go on to do glorious things.
Only trying to be as great as you are.
Well, let's not aim that high.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot. It's a lot. But you should see what I can do now. It's pretty cool. I
Sounds
grow
rather
claws.
terrifying, yes.
Yeah. But I'm so tired. So tired.
Well, when you find yourself weary, rely on your friends. They seem of strong stock.
Thanks, Dad.
I will be here whenever you are in the area or if you need me.
Pat him on the shoulder. Try not to stay away for too long.
And if you do pass through Vilstein, go ahead and give Gregory some shit.
Yeah, I really was going to. I just haven't been there yet.
Well, until next time I see you, son.
Until next time, Dad.
And obviously he would escort you out or make sure that you find your way to the caravan or your companions, and that would mostly be it.
Also, I tell him about the teardrop thing.
Okay. But now as the party as a whole at Top Castle, is the plan just going back to Corsair? So,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Can Thor like long rest in the cart?
I think that's reasonable. It's a multiple day trip anyway, so you guys are going to stop to have long rests along the trip. So, no matter what, you're going to end up whole on the other side.
Gotcha. Cool.
But, don't really have any precise plans as far as the travel goes. Again, you know, we can gloss over this as much as you want to, James, but Florent would ask Valorant yet again about the eye, kind of not pestering, but that, like, if you ever had a passing conversation, it would be brought up, and then I'm imagining you kind of default to the answer you gave me before.
That was, yeah, I mean, I specifically seek him out when we get back to Top to tell him that that's what we're doing as soon as we get back. And
Gotcha.
if he continues to ask about it, then I just repeat myself.
Yeah, it does sound like he is kind of pestering, but we have to keep in mind this is over like a week and days and things of that nature. So he's just keeping that presence there. So, but
and we are riding home, riding back.
would there be any specific interests on the trip? That trip back, it would just be the 4 golden hearts and Florent Lemoyne. So,
Well, we're still kind of, we're not in disguise, but we're in sort of like half disguise. I still don't want to have to explain what we're doing out here to anybody. So it's really just let's get our butts back and act like we never left.
Mm-hmm. So, I'm not gonna go ahead and make you roll any sort of deception checks, since it would be relatively mundane to steer away any sort of inquisitive eyes or people that you meet upon the road. It is a lot easier to pass as just a regular mercenary or traveling band moving through the area than Vilstein guards with a bunch of half-orcs. So, unless otherwise, you would just arrive back at Corsair after several days of travel. You would return to your wagon and your caravan in proper order. We did mention when you left that Giggles is the understanding that he'll check in every afternoon, and if someone is about to murder him, he'll send a message out. So, yeah. But is there anything you guys are seeking out or doing or preparing for as you arrive back at Corsair?
When we get back, I just tell Genevieve that it all seemed to go smoothly, and get those Vilstein costumes back to her and encourage her to dispense with them quickly.
Whenever. Oh, go ahead.
And just get all my stuff back together, including putting on the new gauntlets, and I think I actually wear the cape as is, the somewhat
jagged
frayed cape.
Where you
Like
say
having
sorry.
it be distressed makes it a statement piece.
I'm not like every other lord.
I'm way more Dark Souls-y looking.
I mean, given the Athelvane financial status, that could come off.
I'm not edgy. I'm afraid.
I'm just poor.
The edges are gone. There's no edge here.
But Thor, what were you gonna say, sir?
Yeah. Are there guards this time when we come back?
Yes, the 3 guards that were there when you arrived, but carrying baskets, would be there proper this time.
No. Okay. I would just comment about how I'm glad to see they're back at their posts, and then the first thing I would do is check on the piece. Like, however that's needs to happen.
You open the chest?
I would ask Valorant if I could, just to check.
He would do it with you.
Yeah.
There's 7 different keys for 7 different locks.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you take the time to seek out the chest and open it up, you would find the somewhat decayed, gray, blobby-esque torso of Tord, and kind of you still left it in the breastplates that you carried it out in, correct?
I think that's reasonable. Yeah, and gives something to grab it by.
So, as far as you left it, it's still resting there in the lead-lined chest.
Then I guess we would just seal them back up. I guess I would inquire to the crew if anyone went near the cat, like anyone went near that,
If you ask around or specifically seek out Iron Pot, he would mention yet again that even though Danica has a room within Corsair, she does find herself in that cart more often than not, and he kind of has to chase her out. And another point of order is the Hellthorns would be gone, returned back to their property.
I assume Valor and you would be with me when I asked that question. So
Sure.
you would also know. Or I would tell you. Either way, you would know.
What time of day is it that we've gotten back to Corsair?
We'll go ahead and hit noon. That seems like a reasonable time to arrive.
Okay. And how long does it take to get to the site of the old HQ?
I think we put it at like 2 hours, I think.
Okay, so I've got some time. So I instruct Ferris to get the caravan ready. We're all gonna go to the HQ today. This afternoon. And then I'll swing by Genevieve one more time if I can find her. And tell her what we're doing. Tell her that we're going to the HQ to look around, but that we will be back. And that I would like to spend some time with her before we leave Corsair again, in a broader sense of the word leaving.
Mm-hmm.
Just to kind of prepare her for that notion.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want to find Danica. And Thor, you're welcome to come along if you would like to.
Oh,
Anybody,
hell.
not that anybody is not welcome, but just if Thor has been,
Oh,
we've been hanging out, then you can keep hanging out.
Yeah, you can come along. I'll let you know. I'll tell everybody. I don't care.
So is the whole party tracking Danica down?
Clay.
Yeah,
Come along with us, Clay. You got it. Come on.
I don't want to have to moonbeam a lady of the state, but or no, this is Danica. She's not.
You could just moon
Okay.
her instead of moonbeaming her.
But yes, we would all track her down.
Okay. It doesn't take long to either get pointed from the servants or maybe Genevieve herself that Danica has been more or less finding herself in the library for most of her downtime, kind of waiting around, perusing through books, just kind of poking. So that would be the room in which you find her. I guess it's worth that we can go ahead and throw that map up. There we go. Did that not? Yes, it did. Okay.
So entering the room, I'm back in my official garb, and just very, like, with sincerity, like without any irony, sort of entering the room and bowing my head and saying, Miss Caspian, I hope you are enjoying the meager hospitality of my estate.
As you enter the room, she's sat in the kind of large, only comfortable armchair in the library, the one facing out the east window. And as the door opens and there's a bit of sound, instead of like turning around properly, she basically just lets her head kind of hang backwards over the backrest of the chair and looks at you upside down, kind of tilting her head a little bit. Yes, it is absolutely lovely. It doesn't even compare to Ukin.
Just kind of let that one go by, and without letting his smile falter, he says, I have left instructions with the caravan staff that our wagons are to be closely guarded. They both contain materials which represent a danger of one type or another, and it would make life easier for them if you could seek your comfort in the carriage that we provided, or in a tent when we're on the road, and certainly when we're here, we have guest beds.
He's being very polite, and I'm sure he would just like to ask you why you're sleeping in the goddamn cart.
Honestly, I'm a little disappointed that it took this long for you to confront me. I've been rather disappointed for almost a month now.
Glad we could ease your discomfort and disappointment now. Would you answer the question, because they're a little concerned that you might not be you anymore?
Brother. I mean, come on.
Yes, you still have your wit in your tongue.
She kind of looks across the group, but would kind of meet Valoran's gaze. I simply want to know what's in the cart that is all so mysterious.
I'll turn to the group. You must understand. She's not going to stop. And I trust her with my life. If you want to just tell her, I don't think it would be amiss.
If it helps, I can show you exactly what type of changes we fear you would go through should you continue this.
Am I gonna grow an extra nose?
You may.
As you can imagine, Miss Caspian, the road that we travel is fraught with both mundane and magical dangers. In that wagon, we have secured an artifact from the grave of Ziggurat the Knight. The same Ziggurat who took the life of one of our companions. You found me in there while we were being beset by the dire wolves in order to safeguard it, not to relax.
She kind of listens to your words and begins nodding before you even finish your explanation, knowing that she's getting a very roundabout answer. But she does not hesitate, but pauses for a deliberate moment and kind of gives you a very slight bow of her head. I know that I am overly sarcastic, that is not lost on me, and this might come off as insincere. I really just want to know what it is.
Why?
I'm curious by nature. It's what I do.
You must understand that the nature of this item is such that when people become curious about it, that in and of itself represents a danger that must be addressed.
Lord Valoran, do people in your caravan know about what it is?
Not everyone know.
Let me rephrase my question then. Do people know what's in that chest that you trust less than myself?
No.
Well, then I'm moderately insulted that you trust me so little. I'm not going to put up a big fight, and I'm not going to be all dramatic about everything, but I'll keep sneaking into the cot. Ironpot can beat me out with the broom if he wants. I just want to know what's in it. If you tell me, I'll stop.
You understand that once you know, you become a target.
You do realize that I was in the same caravan as you when the wolves came, and I don't think they were going to pick and choose who they attack.
The wolves were a trifle
And the person behind those wolves doesn't know that you don't know. But if you were to be taken for any reason, the fact that you don't know, I guess would be good.
I've seen people tortured for less. Do you really want to know more?
Yes.
Can you swear, on pain of death, dismemberment, the rending of your very soul, that you will never speak of it to anyone,
Sure,
even
why
after
not?
you leave our company?
Insight. I don't believe her.
Go for it, sir.
Yeah.
I'm coming after
Yeah.
you.
Clay, who is incredibly insightful today, by the way. There is such a level of dismissive acceptance that if she did care about what it was, if she was after it for nefarious means, she is an incredible actor and also very dedicated to the long con. From what you can gather, this really is just a very human curiosity, or at least a person who is driven by curiosity that just
Lauren,
wants to know.
I look at Decker with this sort of this expression of like trying to think of the best way to put it.
She's playing the
Exasperation.
long game.
Just sort of this expression of like, well,
Eesh. I've known this woman since I was very little.
Since he was born,
Like I
I
said,
did come out first.
she's just curious.
so the candles in the room, the flames themselves stay the same size, but the light that they give diminishes. As Valoran, with that statement from Decker, holds his hand not more than a foot away from Danica's face and says, "You will speak the truth. And one day you may curse your curiosity." I hit her with the zone of truth.
As you put forth this rather intimidating display, she kind of, still with her head leaned back over the backrest of the chair, just kind of like rolls her head enough to give Decker a side glance past Valoran, and just like a very slight shrug of her shoulders, and then looks back over to Valoran.
And I
I know
just
whether or not it worked.
Oh yeah, she's gonna say.
Uh,
Yeah, she won't even resist. Yeah.
She doesn't resist.
and I'll shoot her a little message, just saying, "Don't worry, I think this is his way of being friendly with everyone."
Then I repeat, do you swear?
Yeah. Are you always this serious?
Hear me. For I have grown tired of people's curiosity and obstinance and ultimatums.
And I would
When
shoot
all
her-
existence hangs in the balance, it is a piece of the god of death, Toradan, and if you enter that wagon again, it will not be Ferris who removes you!
Give me an intimidation check.
Whatever she rolls.
I'm at this point, I'm gonna step up to Valoran, and gently but firmly, I'm gonna turn his shoulder to where he's facing me, and we're eye to eye at this point. I told you she was curious. but you are speaking to my sister and a Caspian. Moderate your tone, sir.
Have
Now
I said
read
anything
the-
false? Caspian.
It's not what you said, it's how you said it. Again, moderate your tone. Please.
I simply want to ensure
And
that I
simply
understood.
do it with a gentlemanly manner, if you may, with my sister. Please.
Tried that.
Try
your
it
hand from me.
again. I'll leave my hand on his shoulder and I'm just staring at him.
I remove it.
As the
Not quickly,
two-
not violently, but
as the two
Oh.
gentlemen,
I'll allow it.
okay, get very close to each other, and there is a brief pause as the hand is removed. Danica would just kind of chirp up in the background ever so slightly. I really did answer your question before all these theatrics. I am very confused as why we are testing our egos today.
Because this is important. It's not an ego. I don't even know what that is, but it's not that. It's just very important.
I didn't claim otherwise.
with the zone still active, Valor turns back to her and says, "Do you agree to stay out of that wagon?"
Yes, I know what it is now. I'm done.
I sincerely hope you do not regret your knowing.
Well, I hope the same. I will say that you should try and lighten up a fair bit. I know that it's your thing and you're all very serious all the time, but this could have been a much simpler conversation.
Yes, it could have. And if one more person tells me to lighten up, we leave in a half hour. Gotta turn on my heels and walk out.
Lord Athelvane, a word as we walk.
I'll just whisper to Decker's sister. I think he's half Goliath.
Danica would just shake her head and then kind of lull it over to Decker and take a moment to actually give you a softer look. I do appreciate you standing up for me, though he seems a bit aggressive at times.
He's a good man, nevertheless. It will be a cold day in hell when I let anyone speak to my sister thusly.
I'm
If it
sure
were
Father
anybody
would
else.
be over the moon.
Not a matter of father's concern.
I
But-
appreciate it.
You stay out of the cot, sister.
Yes, I'm done. I simply wanted to know, and now I do.
My neck is sore. Would you mind rubbing it for me, please? Just turn around and sit down in front of her.
I guess you've earned this.
As Thor would exit the library, he would just hear him say, "Most days I wish I didn't know what was in there." And then I'll walk out following Valorant and
So, Clay and Valoran, I suppose.
Yeah, Clay would be scurrying along to catch up behind what I assume would Valoran be kind of having that quick, angry walk where people.
That's fair, yeah.
So a gnome is just
Lord Valoran, or no, Lord Ethelwyn, Valoran, hold up!
He stops when he gets outside anyway.
Look, a lot of great things are built out of trust. Orders, empires, families. But I've been on enough missions to know idle curiosity is what gets people killed. I'm not attempting to belittle the Caspian name by any means, but surely there is somewhere better to leave a young lady like herself than with us as we hunt. And we are hunted. Could you not, I don't know, leave her here with your sister?
Don't disagree. I'm not sure what he was thinking exactly. I wanted a show of support when we go to Queen's Coast. Something to show that Liamus has committed skin to this game. Also, I maybe was curious myself. Damn that word. I regret that display, Mr. Clay, and I will have to say as much to the Caspian siblings, just as I had to say to my own sibling. But ever since I took to the road on this quest, I have been beset by people who know nothing, seen nothing, and yet make demand after demand after demand, and feel completely justified. Novin may peel the skin from Miss Caspian's fair form, and if that happens, what light will that cast that conversation in?
Lord Athelvain, in truth, I don't know if it would have made a difference had we not told her. To know that we have something here with us of great importance. From what you've described this Novin as, I think he could connect those dots. Having her along at all, anyone along at all. We are on the pyre, waiting for it to burn.
Then there's just the audacity of it all. There is nothing here that that woman can claim ownership of. Not one splinter on that wagon. Caspians.
I can see that she has struck quite a emotional chord within you.
I am afraid, Mr. Clay, that is all. I am waiting for the executioner's blade still. For what we just did in the mountains. As I said, I will have to express my regrets to them. I just don't understand why no one will listen. The same thing is going to happen at Queen's Coast. I know it.
You told me you would show me your best. I do not judge you for this. Know that. A loss of temper is not beyond the scope of what is to be expected. But don't let it consume you. If need be, if she wants to be a pest, I can temporarily turn her into one and see if scurrying about as a rat will help her enjoy that cart more. But that is an extreme response to what can be turned into a minor concern.
I would never ask such a thing. I wouldn't want Decker to put his hand on your shoulder.
I am thankfully low enough to the ground. Most must bend first. Ample opportunity, if you will. Well, we have preparations to make, I suppose.
Ever onward. Thank you again for your counsel.
Always. Cleo. Go, I guess, check the caravan. He's going to take up a post next to the box.
Okay. So is the party set on now moving to the HQ, or is there other things that need to be taken care of before then?
Probably need to take care of Valorant and Decker, but
Well, I guess the
might save-
other topic we need to discuss is Danica's coming or not, since that's now in question, I suppose.
Valor doesn't try to keep her out of the caravan, just that wagon. And I know we're not. If we go to the HQ, we're gonna stop. So
How do
if
you
we can-
know that? We still got 15 minutes.
we could have. I made an insight check,
Mm,
so we can. I think we could do that now with Decker.
Well, it was up to you two, good sirs.
All right.
So on
after
the road,
spasm in your back is fixed.
So on the road to the HQ with the whole caravan now moving, once they've been on the road for maybe a half hour, Valoran would come to you. So unless you come to him quicker than that, he'll come to you.
No, I would not be coming to you at this point.
Where is Danica in relation to Decker? Or Decker in relation to
We'd
Danica?
probably be riding next to each other.
So Valor will urge his horse alongside, and I say, in a loud, clear voice, so that anybody else associated with the caravan can hear. I apologize for my display. It seems to keep happening recently. It is not an excuse, but the gravity of what we have undertaken cannot be overstated. And since Jarek died, I find I am obsessive with the consequences.
Valorant. You've certainly nothing to apologize for. Danica, leave us, please.
Kind of like gives a little side to you both and shrugs ever so slightly and lets her horse kind of fall back.
I'll pull up on the. I'll kind of nudge my horse over and it's just the two of us. I mean, this is just so
As
that
she starts to fall, before, just as, when she gives the side glance to Valoran and is about to fall back, he repeats somewhat more quietly, "I'm sorry." And then she can drop back.
Yeah, she slips away if you do address her. She'll kind of eye you quickly and we'll talk, and then falls back.
Valorant, I'm sorry that I laid my hand on you. It was not gentlemanly. I know you have a sister, so I know that you know how protective one can become of them.
You are well within your rights.
She's always been curious. That's what I love about her. It's probably her most outstanding trait, if you were to ask me. Has it gotten her in trouble? Yes, numerous times, and I'm sure it will in the future. But there's a reason she's with us. There's a reason that Father saw fit to send her. There's a reason you saw fit to accept her into the company. And if she is to be accompanying us, perhaps it is within her. Maybe right is too strong of a word, but it's certainly understandable that she wants to know what it is we're guarding, what it is that almost killed her twin brother. It wasn't simple, childish, idle curiosity. I'm sure she wants to know what's there, what she can do to help. You've given that to her, and that should be the end of it. But you should understand something. There is a small possibility that one day I'll call you brother. Don't be the person that tries to kill her curiosity. It's what makes her beautiful. And if you ever raise your voice to her again, I probably will have to hit you. And looking at you, I'll probably be demolished.
If I were to raise a hand against you in that situation, how far I would have fallen. I don't offer this as an excuse. Again, I accept that there is none. It is for me to be better than brutishness. But Thor is the only one still with us who knows this story. And there's something I suddenly find disquieting about that. The first time I ever saw Novin, we were in a hole in some Giles backwater. My master at arms was with us then. His name was Marcus Griffin. He was a man that I knew from childhood. He taught me everything he knew about combat, strategy, dragon chess. He was like family. And my family is dwindling.
Your family might be growing.
I don't know whether this will upset you or not, but as far as your sister and myself, that decision will be between the two of us and have very little to do with your father.
Already had the same conversation with Danica. I've told her that if it doesn't suit her, I'll do everything in my power to stop it.
I would not have a wife that would not have me.
Well,
At any rate. Marcus did not survive to lay eyes on Novin. Merely being near him seemed to break him. This man was a veteran, hardened. He had seen war and death. But in that hole, I no longer recognize the man before me.
Valoran, as you well know, sometimes the hardest things are the most brittle.
He cursed me with his dying breath, essentially, before he took his own life. Not to take anything away from your sister, but it made it hard to accept her curiosity at face value.
Knowing
I
her,
trusted that man with my life.
I do understand. But knowing my sister my entire life, I can tell you, I can quite accept her curiosity at face value. It's been who she is her entire life. I'll have a talk with her about anything that you see fit.
If the matter is settled for you both, then it is for me.
Perhaps,
I just wanted to try to create some understanding.
think you did.
I mean, now. With my sad story.
Things do make more sense.
I certainly understand the gravity of the situation, and I'll do my best to impart that to her. I can only imagine that having been taken from her home, her routine, her usefulness there, she's not just a centerpiece. Being on the road with us for this time, going into the unknown, perhaps if there's a way to give her purpose other than to just be baggage in your caravan, it could help.
I'm afraid I don't remember if you were present for this conversation with your father or not. I really did intend for her to add her voice when we make the case for an alliance to Queen Rosmeli. She is compelling.
How much of this have you told her thus far on our journey?
I didn't get that. It cut out for me.
How much of this have you told her thus far on our journey?
I thought that I had mentioned it to her, but in truth, those last days in Liamis are a blur.
Whether you marry her or not, if she is to be useful to you, perhaps you should talk to her more. Without the zone of truth.
There's so much uncertainty, Decker. I appreciate the warmth of the light of truth.
Mhm.
You're right. I will.
I just put my hand out.
Yeah, I take it.
I think that
This
is a perfect.
this is a better way to put my hand on you.
Forgive me.
You've nothing to be forgiven for.
And I think that is almost the perfect time to end this session.